Donald Trump may have stalled the federal criminal trial related to his 2020 election subversion, but state investigations into the fake electors plot are moving right along. Despite recent setbacks, the Fulton County, Georgia case against Trump and his allies and fake electors is still alive. In Nevada, a grand jury has indicted 6 fake electors. Michigan's attorney general has filed charges against 16 fake electors. And now Politico reports Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes appears close to announcing indictments in the investigation in her state. Kyle Cheney reports that Mayes has subpoenaed 2 Arizona Republican congressmen, Andy Biggs and Paul Gosar, 2 of Trump's most loyal congressional allies, to testify before a grand jury. Now, remember, both of those men attended a strategy meeting at the White House prior to January 6th to discuss how Vice President Mike Pence could block the certification of election results. Both Biggs and Gosar also voted to overturn the 2020 election results after the attack on the Capitol. Joining me now is Kyle Cheney, senior legal affairs reporter at Politico. Kyle, thank you for being here. I feel like this is a very interesting turn of events. Now, give me your expectation about Biggs and Gosar actually cooperating with this subpoena. And could you tell us what else you know about the level of seriousness with which the AG in Arizona may actually be pursuing them?
Sure. So just in the big picture sense, it would not shock me if we saw charges in this investigation as early as next week. We understand it's fairly imminent. But this is kind of a sleeper case in that we don't really know, is the AG purely focused on the false electors themselves, or is she looking at a level or two beyond them, stretching into the Trump campaign, the Trump White House? And now, as we see, these 2 members of Congress who, yes, they played a role in what happened in Arizona, but they're meeting with Donald Trump, too. They're meeting with people in the national scope of this. So we don't quite know what she views as how wide her aperture is, and whether she views people like that as targets or not, and whether people like Biggs and Gosar would comply with a subpoena like that. They have legal options to fight that, and we don't know. We don't have a lot of insight into whether they're employing those.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the enduring mysteries of the January 6th insurrection was, how come nobody's following the breadcrumbs all the way to the U.S. Congress, right? I mean, the president, former president, there's a federal criminal case against him, the fake electors, the middlemen here, congressmen like Biggs and Gosar, who apparently were involved in some of the, planning of all this, have yet to face any serious scrutiny. I remember, I am old enough to remember, Kyle, when Cassidy Hutchinson testified to the committee and said that these guys wanted pardons. Let's play that sound.
Are you aware of any members of Congress seeking pardons?
I guess Mr. Gates and Mr. Brooks, I know, have both advocated for there to be a blanket pardon for members involved in that meeting.
Did they all contact you?
Not all of them, but several of them did.
So you mentioned Mr. Gates, Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Biggs did. Mr. Jordan talked about congressional pardons, but he never asked me for one. It was more for an update on whether the White House is going to pardon members of Congress. Mr. Gohmert asked for one as well. Mr. Perry asked for a pardon too. I'm sorry.
Kyle, the list keeps going on, right? Matt Gaetz, Mo Brooks, Andy Biggs, Jim Jordan, Louis Gohmert, Scott Perry. I mean, and yet none of these guys has really faced accountability as yet, or serious questions from law enforcement officials. And I just wonder, give me a sense of sort of the complications of potentially prosecuting or at least charging a member of Congress as you see it.
I mean, look, there are a few challenges with that. I mean, we do know that Scott Perry had his phone seized by federal investigators as part of their look at Donald Trump and that broader plot. He was a key player in the effort by Donald Trump to deploy the Justice Department to help do what he did in 2020. And so now, he wasn't charged over that, and we don't know where that path led DOJ. But it's hard to penetrate Congress. They have speech or debate protection in the Constitution, basically almost a full immunity from being criminally pursued over their official business. Now, the January 6th session of Congress, even though it's about an election, is part of Congress's official business. They are casting votes to certify an election. So getting inside that and compelling these people to talk or to get even just to get a look at what they were doing and talking about is very difficult for investigators because of the protections built into the Constitution about it.
I will say, though, there was a lot of back and forth about whether Lindsey Graham would have to testify. He invoked speech and debate. He ultimately did in the Fulton County case. And I wonder if you think the tide is turning on that, given the egregious nature of what had transpired on January 6th, the testified role that some of these individuals played in it, and the fact that they asked for pardons, after the fact, suggesting, I don't know, a cognizance of guilt. Do you think that the dynamic is changing in terms of how immune these guys are, the blanket immunity it seems they might have had in years past?
Lindsey Graham is a great example because he was ordered to testify, but under very strict conditions where they said you can only ask him about things that had nothing to do with his work as, the Judiciary Committee chairman or as a senator. Ask him about his contacts with the Trump campaign. That's not official business. You could get to something like that for a Gosar or a Biggs, but it takes a lot of work in the courts. Lindsey Graham went all the way to the Supreme Court with that. It took months. So it's still an onerous thing for a prosecutor to do.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.